सनातनं बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमतामहं तेजस्तेजस्विनामहं बलं बलवतामहं कामरागवर्जनं धर्मविद्धो भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभ ये चैव सात्विका भावा राजसा तामसास्ते मत्त एवेतान् विद्धि न तु अहं तेषु ते मयि त्रिवीर्गुणवैर्भावैर्येभिः सर्वमिदं जगन्मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्य परमप्रियं दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरतया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तन्त्रे मां दुष्कृतमूढा प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमा मया प्रतज्ञानः आसुरं भावमाश्रित चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जनाः सुकृतिनो आत्तो जिज्ञासुरब्दार्थे ज्ञानी च प्रतपस्व तेषां ज्ञाननित्ययुक्त एकभक्तिर्विशिष्य प्रियो हि ज्ञानात्यब्दम् अहं सुनो प्रिय उदार सर्वैवैते ज्ञानी त्वात्मयमतम् आस्थितः स युक्तात्मा मामेव अनुत्तमां गतिं बहुनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेव सर्वं समात्मा सुदुर्लभ कामैस्तैः सृष्टज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्ते अनदेवता तं तं नैवम् आस्थाय प्रकृतनियतस्वया यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्तः श्रद्धयार्चितं निहते तस्य तस्य चलां श्रद्धां तमेव विददाम्यहं सा तया श्रद्धया युक्तः तस्य आराधनमिहते लभते तत् कामा लभते च ततः कामान् मयि विहितानि तान् अंतवत्तु बलं तेषां तद्भवति अल्पमेधसां देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यते मामवोदय परं भावम् अजानन्तो मम अनोत्तमं नाहं प्रकाश सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतं मूढोऽयं विजानति लोकमजमप्ययं वेदाहं समसदान वर्तमानानि चार्जनं भविष्यानि च भूतानि मां तु वेद न कश्चन इच्छाद्वेषमुत्तेन दन्तमोहेन वार्ता सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परं तपः येषामन्तकरं भावं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते दन्दमोह निर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रता जरामरणमोक्षाय माम् आश्रित्य यतन्ते ते ब्रह्म तद्वित् कृष्णम् आध्यात्मं कर्म चाग्रं सा आदिबोधम् आदिदव्यं माम् आदियज्ञं च ते विदुः प्रयाणकाले च अपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसा. Bhagavad chapter 7, that is the full chapter 7, verse number 30. So this is in connection. Yeah, let's read the verse again, 7.23, and then we'll try to understand. Antavattu palam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Antavattu palam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. अंतवत्व फलं तेषां तद्भवति अल्पमेधसां देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि. Synonyms: antavат, perishable, tu, but, phalam, fruit, tesham, there, tat, that, bhavati, becomes, alpamedasam, of those of small intelligence, devam, to the demigods, devayaja, the worshippers of the demigods, yanti, go, mat, my, bhaktaha, devotees, yanti, go, mam, to me, api, also. Translation by V.S.A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to their planets of demigods. But my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Repeat. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Purport, the big one. Some commentators on the Bhagavad Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord. But here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of the demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated, just as the worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the supreme personality of Godhead. That is denied here. For it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the supreme planet of the personality of Godhead. Here, the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they don't know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This isn't very sanguine. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or the eyes? They don't know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of Supreme Lord, and in their ignorance, they believe that each and every demigod is a separate God and a competitor of the Supreme Lord. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but ordinary living entities are also. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the Brahmanas are the head of the Supreme Lord, and Kshatriyas are his arms, Vaishyas are his waist, Sudras are his legs, and all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destination the devotee reaches. The results achieved by the demigod benedictions are perishable, because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore, it is clearly stated that in this verse that all results achieved by the worshipping demigods are perishable, and therefore such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotion service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence that is full of knowledge. His achievements and those of common worshipper of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited, his favor is unlimited, his mercy is unlimited. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon his pure devotee is unlimited. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं देवतां परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। So chapter 7 is broadly categorized in 6 sections. We'll just quickly run through that and we'll come to this verse. And we'll try to understand why Krishna is speaking here, demigod worship, and so many things in this chapter. And what is the connection, and why is he talking about, especially in the context of Bhakti Yoga in the middle 6 chapters, why is he talking all these things? So the first section is verse number 1 to 3, is talking about just here, knowing Krishna, understanding, gives the power and sweetness of the Supreme Lord. So especially Asakti is talking, Krishna is mentioning one who pays attention with rapt attention, who hears transcendental knowledge, Nivista, especially the word used in 1344 Srimad Bhagavatam, you can see. One who is not pure in his eating and sleeping and mating and defending, he cannot become pure in his mind. One whose thoughts will not be pure. If one's thoughts are not pure, he will not be pure in mind, he will not be pure in his actions. This way, chain reaction is there. So, the only one who, then only he can have rapt attention. Otherwise, it is not possible. Prabhupada talks about in the purport 1344 Srimad Bhagavatam. So, here, so that is what Maya Asakta. If you want to develop attachment, then one must hear. So then the second section is starting from verse number 4 to 12. Krishna is talking about material and spiritual energies, where we just read Bhumiraponalo Vayu. So Aparayam Mitastanyam. So those are the starting verses. So 4 to 12 is material and spiritual energies. The verse number 13 to 14, that is the third section. Krishna controls the 3 modes. Echeva Satvika Bhava and all. We discussed 3 modes, which is it can create delusion, and then somebody who is surrendered to the Supreme Lord, he can overcome it. So it is discussed in that. And then next section, 4th section, 15 to 19, 4 kinds of people surrender and 4 do not surrender. Impious never surrender, or pious do. Either way, you can take a look. That is this Chaturveda Bhajante Mam and Namam Dushkudno Muda. Now the fifth section, we are in that category now. Fifth section, we are today's verse 20 to 25. Demigod worship and impersonalism nature. That is what we are in fifth section. The last section is 26 to 30. Bewilderment and freedom by knowing Krishna. In this way, this chapter is categorized. So that is a breakdown. Now, to understand why Lord Krishna is talking about four kinds of people surrender, four kinds of people do not surrender, and the demigod worship. Ultimate point he wants to give. If somebody is giving transcendental knowledge, why is he giving? So because Lord Krishna wants the living entity to get out of this clutches of this material existence, temporary existence, where there is so much misery, difficulties. So he wants us to go back to the eternal spiritual world. So that's why next chapter Krishna is talking about. There is no question asked here. The connection from 6 point last verse 46 verse Yoginam Sarvesham Madgatena Antaratma Siddhavam Yomam Tame Yuktadamamata. One who engages, one who remembers me, and one who engages worshipping me, then he can come to me. So he is the topmost. So then how can that happen? So unless somebody gets the transcendent, that's why 7th chapter begins without Arjuna is asking. Arjuna asked 6 questions in the first 6 chapters. So, but here no question asked. Only in the 8th chapter, next 7th question is starting in the 8th chapter beginning, because there is a connection from the last verse of this chapter. So Krishna is speaking because Krishna wants, living entities wants to attain the supreme, highest abode. So then he has to speak. It's the same concept we can see in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. Because Krishna has to speak what is absolute, what is not absolute. That's why when Krishna is saying knowledge of the absolute, we have to go back to the verse, the Dhyana Avastita Adgatena Manasa Pasyantiyam Yogino. We're discussing other. In that verse purport, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur talks about this. What is para and apara? What is this absolute and what is not absolute? So that's why Krishna has to discuss who surrenders, who doesn't surrender. What is absolute and what is demigod worship? What is Sumeda, what is Alpha Meda? What is Hrutagnana, what is Vijnana? So Krishna is clearly differentiating that aspect. That's why Krishna is talking about. Otherwise, he doesn't need to talk about demigod worship on the platform of Bhakti Yoga. Middle 6 chapters is very much stressing, starting from 7th chapter. And so that is one aspect of looking at it, why Krishna is speaking here about demigod worship. So that's the reason. That's why chapter 7th chapter ending itself, Krishna is telling that. He's talking about Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva, Adi Yajna. Then Arjuna is asking, that is the connection to 8th chapter. Arjuna is asking, what do you mean by Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva, Adi Yajna? And how can somebody attain that supreme? Same thing Parikshit Maharaj asking Sukadeva Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 at the end. So tell me how to attain the supreme, what a person should do and what he shouldn't do. Both he is asking. So that's why Krishna also is in the same way is telling what is absolute, what is not absolute. Both is telling, so that we can clearly distinguish that and what happens also here clearly laying out. So especially in this, and then we have to see that just from Vedas, coming back from Vedas, let's look at first Vedas, then we'll come to the Upanishad, then we'll come to this verse. In the Vedas, it is mentioned, there are 4 Vedas, especially Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda, where it is mentioned about the 5 Panchama, 5 kinds of worship, Panchamaha 5 kinds of worship, starting with Surya, Ganesha, Shakti, Shiva, and then finally Vishnu's worship, Lord Vishnu's worship. But mainly stressed in majority portion is talking about these 4 portions, 4 worshippers. The last one, Lord Vishnu's worship, is also mentioned, but somehow because of all these details are mentioned, so people get lost and they get eluded with the fruitive mentality, fruitive active, fruitive results. So they don't get to the topmost. In Rig Veda, otherwise the main stress is given that. That's why we chant this mantra again and again. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraya Divi Chipsrat Tad Vipraso Vipanyo Chikrivam Samandate Vishnu Paramam Padam. So that is the highest. So from Vedas we can clearly see the topmost worship is Lord Vishnu, one who wants to attain that supreme abode, which is permanent, which is eternal, which is pure. So that from Vedas we understand. Vedas is also giving that In Upanishads, it is giving, each Upanishad is part of the 108 Upanishad, which is very important. There also, we can see one of the verse number 12. Before that also Prabhupada quotes this from, I think this is Upanishad. This is also Upanishad. Chandrama manaso jata chaksho suryo jayata sotrad madhyascha prana cha mukad agni ajayata narayana brahma jayate narayana rudro jayate narayana prajapati jayate narayana indro jayate narayana asto vaso jayate narayana dekadasho rudro jayante. Even the demigod change their bodies. So here it is mentioned everything is coming from Lord Narayana. So before this manifestation of material nature, material universes, only Lord Narayana existed. All the demigods are coming as part of the creation. So we can clearly see from starting with Chandra. Chandra is coming from the mind. Chakshu, the Surya is eye from eyes compared with. So these all these demigods are different parts of the body. So from these Upanishads we can clearly see. And then from Isa Upanishad also, verse number 12 is clearly mentioning, clearly condemning those who are engaged in the worship of the demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worship of the impersonal absolute. And the next verse is talking about the impersonal absolute also. So they are even more dangerous, but the demigods are also, those who worshipping demigods also enter into the darkest region of hell. Because then there it is giving the example Prabhupada gives. The whole universe, if you look at it, is covered by a gigantic material element, the 7 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, this gross, and the mind and pulse ego. So there it is mentioned, it is just like a coconut covered by shell and half filled with water. So since it is covered in airtight, darkness is within, is dense. Therefore, sun and moon are required for illumination. But still, so that is within this material world. So that's why we need. So in order to come out, even somebody may say, I can take, if you are sick, I can worship sun god, or I can sit in sun and I can cure the disease. But that is just temporary. You can cure disease, but again and again you will get disease in this world. So then what is the point of going into this cycle again and again? So that's why Isopniषद verse number 12 is clearly telling, Andam tama pravishanti ye asambhutim upasate. Asambhutim upasate. One more important point there. Asambhutim, Prabhupada explained, this is, they don't have independent existence. All the demigods, they don't have independent existence. Only if Krishna gives, that will come to that, these 4 verses, clearly talking about this asambhutim. Tato bhuya iva te tamo yo sambhutyam rataha. So that's what it means. So that's why one who's relying on this, those who doesn't have an independent existence but still trying to worship, the andam tama provision, they will enter into this darkest region of the hell. So this is what from Upanishad we can see. Now, coming back to this verse here, after explaining about these 4 kinds of people who are sakama bhaktas, verse number 16, we see that Krishna is talking about the pious. So there it is mentioned, Chaturveda bhajante mam jana sukritanojana. That is a clear distinction here. Sukruti, that means one who has meritorious activity, one who has performed pious activities. The opposite is dushkruti, one who doesn't have a pious credits. So that's why that verse is also mentioned. 15th verse, namam dushkrutanam, 4 kinds of people who are sinful, who doesn't have any pious credit. These credits are not bhoga, these are not bhakti unmukha sukruti. These Krishna is talking about general, as per scripture, general regulated, general following on the basis of scriptures. The regular pious credit, bhoga unmukha sukruti it is called. Then there is a moksha unmukha sukriti, means bhoga unmukha sukriti means when you perform this activity, then you will get some result which you can enjoy with. You will go to heavenly planets, or you can live long, all this beauty and everything. This is explained in Canto 2, chapter number 3, Lord in the Heart, verse number, I think, 13 to 15, or 4 verses, 5 verses. It's talking about if you want to have a great marital relationship, then you must worship Goddess Uma. If you want to be famous in this world, then you have to worship Lord Shiva. But ultimately, if you want to attain the permanent thing, then you have to worship Lord Vishnu. Otherwise, there is a list of demigods. If you want this, you worship this demigod one by one. Then Sukadeva Goswami given the highest. But before that, he's talking about these various list of demigod, what's happening, and what result they're going to get. That is talking about. So we're discussing, yeah. So that's why Sukritina and Dushkritina, that is the reference here for Sakama Bhaktas. So 4 kinds of people, those are distressed, Artha, and desire of wealth, which is Ardhardi, and inquisitive, Jignaso, and then Jnanis. Out of these 4, Tesham Jnani Nityayukta. Krishna is mentioning, everybody is magnanimous here, at least they are coming to me. But out of that, those who are looking for knowledge, they are more better than other 3 categories. Everybody is, at least they are coming to me McDonald, but out of that, they are like just like myself. They are dear to me. That's what Krishna is mentioning. Next verse. So now, since Arjuna may have a question, if 4 kinds of people, these Sakama Bhaktas, they are worshipping and they're going to come to him at last. Then what happens to those who are worshipping demigods? So then that's why Krishna is addressing from verse number 20 to 23, this demigod worshipper, what happens? Then the questions may ask. So the verse number 20 is talking about Prakriti Niyata Swaya. That means they are under the control of their natures. They are under control of their original nature, which means mode of passion, ignorance, goodness. Mostly those who are operating on Karma Kanda, Prabhupada explains, that means mostly passion and ignorance. Those who are operating on the Jnana Kanda, they are mostly in goodness. And then above the transcendence is, that means they are worshipping Lord Vishnu. So they above the karma and jnana, anya vilasha sunyam. We see that in that verse. So that's why in the verse number 20, Krishna is talking about these. Those who are less intelligent, they worship the demigods. Kama says those who are desires, they have a lot of desires because they are under control of their own nature, swabhava, passion and ignorance, with their corrupt intelligence, and they are averse to surrender to Supreme Lord. So that's why they worship the demigods. Then what happens? But their faith, who's giving the faith when they're worshiping? Demigods are not giving strengthening their faith. There in the verse number 21, that question may arise. There, Krishna is explaining. So Devata's worship will not produce faith in worshipping the Supreme Lord. Rather, Supreme Lord as Paramatma is giving the faith in those forms, as they are Lord's vibhutis. Then you can question, if they are Lord's, part of the Lord's, then by worshipping them, then they can attain the Supreme Lord. Then is that correct? No. That again, Krishna is addressing that question also in the next verse, where in the verse number 22, it is mentioned, Devatas, first of all, Devatas cannot fulfill their desires. Lord is the one who fulfills their desires. And then not only that, then verse number 23 in the today's verse is talking about limited, antavattu, limited and temporary. And then alpamedasa, less intelligent, means sumedasa, one who is intelligent. What he will do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling to all this Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, and everybody else who are gathered when he came first time. Before he was supposed to go to Vrindavan, but he was diverted to Advaita Acharya's place. There, before leaving to Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given instruction to all. One who is Sumedasa, this is what they are supposed to do. Gare Yana Kare Sada Krishna Sankirtana, Krishna Nama, Krishna Katha, Krishna Aradhana. So you all now go back to your homes. Gare Yana Kare, what you are supposed to do, Sada, always. Krishna Sankirtan, perform Krishna Sankirtan, chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So congregationally, chant together. And then Krishna Nam, chanting the holy name of the Lord, 16 rounds, other than Sankirtan. And then Krishna Katha, discuss transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And then Krishna Aradhana, and worship the Supreme Lord. So these 4 things, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave instructions. In another place also there, in the one of those verses, the Prabhupada also giving a nice guidance. One must feed, one must serve devotees, prasadam. Then he must also, throughout the day, they must discuss, and in the night, 3 hours, at least they should perform Sankirtan. That is the best way. This is what all the centers supposed to do. Prabhupada is writing in the purport in one of that verse. This is in Madhya Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita, verse number, I think one of those verses, chapter number, I think, chapter number 3. Yeah, Madhya Leela, chapter number 3. In one of the verses, purport Prabhupada, I think close to 180 or between 180 and 190 verses, Prabhupada is talking this important point. So not just simply get together discussing, but also perform Sankirtan together, dancing and chanting and dancing for at least minimum 3 hours, other than taking feast and discussing Krishna Katha. There must be Sankirtan for 3 hours at least. So that's what Prabhupada is clearly mentioning that. That is important point. So that is Sumedasa, but this verse is talking about Alpa Medasa. One who is less intelligent, they are worshipping the demigod because they are limited. The results will be limited and temporary. And then, but if they are part of the demigods, but what is the result? Their last 2 lines are also important. Devaratam Devan, Mat Bhaktam Yanchma. So one who is worshipping, that is a different word. In this verse also, yeah, Devan Deva Yajo Yanti, Mat Bhaktam Yanti Mamavi. One who is worshipping the demigod, they will enter into the demigod's planet. One who is worshipping the Supreme Lord, they will enter into him. They will attain him. So that is what, even in the 9.25, also same thing, Krishna is clear. So that means, even though you may say that Krishna is telling here in 22, 21, that they are also my vibhuti, they are my part of the bodies. So then they all also, if you worship them, they will attain me. Prabhupada gives example like you are caught on the road, traffic control stopped you. So you are supposed to take, somehow or the other get relief by reaching to that what is it, police controller, not giving bribe to constable. That's what we do most of the time. But that's not. So that is a bribing is illegal. So Prabhupada is talking about it is like that. So you are bribing giving this demigod, taking worshipping and getting the results instead of directly approaching the Supreme Lord, who is the root. So Prabhupada in the purport, Prabhupada is giving another example. Instead of directly supplying through mouth, you are trying to put the food through ear, eyes, and various other holes. Since there are holes, they are part of the body of the Lord. But it is not sanguine, Prabhupada is mentioning. But anyway, so that is what this verse is talking about, desperately. Alpa Medasa and Subedasa. One who is intelligent, one who is not intelligent, what they will do. And then where they will go. And so they will go to the demigod planet. And we can see the example clearly in Dhromara's story, Dhromara's pastime in Canto 4, where it is mentioned when Dhromara's mother Suniti and Suruchi's pastime, we all know. So when Suruchi first of all told, even though you cannot sit on your father's lap, Uttana father's lap, Uttama is born from me, so he can sit, but you cannot sit. So with angle she told, but only way you can, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, you can sit on your father's lap. And then you have to be born. You have to give up this body and born from me. Then you can sit on your father's lap. Then he leaves from that place and then goes to mother. Mother also, yes, what your stepmother did, what your stepmother told is correct. You have to, there is no other, I cannot do anything. Only way is by worshipping the Supreme Lord. Then Dhrumaras went with that, he wants to attain the highest, more than even his grandfather Swayambhu Manu and more even great grandfather Lord Brahma. Then he went to worship the Supreme Lord. So what was the result? So just to give an example, the result of worshipping demigods, and by Hiranyakashipu also trying to do the same thing. What is trying? He's trying to become immortal, trying to control everything, want to become immortal. He's worshipping Lord Brahma. Then what result he got? He was not immortal, he was being killed. So by Lord Narsingadev. But now, same thing here, Dhruva Maharaj, he was looking for honest path. He was not looking for dishonest, somehow the hook or crook. No, that is Hiranyakashipu philosophy. But here Dhruva Maharaj, that's why Narada Muni came, because he was looking for honestly, just want to worship the Supreme Lord, attain that higher. That's why the 4 kinds of people here, Sukruti, pious credits, because he's coming down in Swayambhu Maharaj's family. So obviously he is Sukruti, he has pious credit. Otherwise, it is not possible. Anyway, so he worshipped the Supreme Lord. Then Lord Vishnu appeared within 6 months, because it is mentioned, exactly followed Narada Muni's instruction as it is, without a lot of austerity. Each and every month he took only very basic things. We cannot even do this. This is in Satyuga. This happened, not in Treta or Dwapara or Kali. This happened in Satyuga, so he was able to do that by Narada Muni's blessings, and he has full of determination. When he did that, then the Lord Vishnu appeared within 6 months because demigods couldn't stand it. He was controlled completely, no air, no food, nothing. He was taking 6 months. He was able to control. He was pressing the toe, he was standing on one leg, and then everything was controlled completely, and all demigods were suffocating. Then they worshipped the Lord and prayed to the Lord. Then Lord said, "Don't worry, this is because of Dromara." Then he came down immediately, and then Lord has given the boon that already there is a pole star. It is an existing planet. It is not new. But because you have come, Dhruva Maharaj already touched conch shell, the Lord touched conch shell to his head, then he could remember, he could offer beautiful prayers. Then Lord told, because since you came with a desire to worship me, even though you're saying, this is temporary, this is, I'm not pure in your worship, he could detect himself, his own condition. He didn't say that I am pure. He said, I am impure. I came with all these impure thoughts. I didn't come with purely to worship. Rather, I was looking for something. So, but Lord said, no, since you came, I'm going to give you. What I'm going to give, which is going to be pole star, is already there. That will be your planet. Dhruva planet, it will be called. You will live 36,000 years. You will rule the kingdom of your father. 36,000 years you'll live. You'll rule, and you will always remember me. Your senses will be always strong. You will never become old. You will always remember me. At the end, then you will come to this planet, Dhruva planet, pole star. Basically, pole star planet is renamed as Dhruva planet, and which will never get annihilated. That means at the time of full annihilation or partial annihilation. Partial annihilation, when Brahma sleeps, that time there is a the 14 planetary system goes into abdomen of Vishnu. Even at that time, nothing happens to this Dhruva planet, pole star planet, because above this, it is as good as Vaikuntha. Above this planet is the this Sweta Dweep, Kshira Sagra, where Lord Vishnu, Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu is lying down. It is a Vaikuntha. It never gets annihilated. In this way, Dhruva Maharaj, by worshipping Lord Vishnu, you get the permanent abode, and then he was always able to remember. He is attaining the supreme, nothing temporary. You got the permanent results. So this is the biggest difference you can see very quickly. It took only 6 months by simply following the instructions of the Narada Muni. That's another important point, which is Srimad Bhagavatam is giving, that one who wants to worship the demigods, how will they be liberated? There it is mentioned, one of the verse, only way by association of the pure devotees. Yeah, all the worship, all the different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods can attain the highest perfection of benediction, which is spontaneous attraction, unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Lord, only by the association of the pure devotee of the Lord. This is 2311. Etavan eva ijatam iha nisreyasha udaya bhagavati achalo bhavo yad bhagavata sangataha. Yad bhagavata sangataha. One can attain, come to this fixed up only by Bhagavata Sangha, pure devotee. So that's why by Narada Muni's mercy, he could come to this highest. Narada Muni could give whatever he wanted, bigger than Brahma's. Narada Muni has the power, but Prabhupada says it is not a duty of spiritual master to give everything. So they must execute devotion service. Same Lord could have given to Arjuna also. He doesn't need to fight, but still Lord wants his own. He wants his disciple, living entity, to use his free will and execute his duty. So that's what. Tasma sarveshu kalir mam anusmarayit mayarpita manovati. He wants living entity to perform the work, duty also. Not just to simply think of the Lord, but he wants the Lord, he wants the living entity, jiva or practitioner, bhakta, to engage in devotional service. That means there should be activity. That is also a very important point which we are coming to. Come to the Sumedasa. More important is coming from Alpameda to Sumedasa, which are coming in a minute. So here that's what this verse is talking about. By worshipping demigods, we will get temporary results, and it will be Abrahma Bona Loko Punaravartana Mamupete Ponte Punarjanmana, which is, that means temporary will be running around from topmost Brahma to lower. Even it says in Srimad Bhagavatam, even Lord Brahma comes back again. Where at the time of full annihilation, there is a naimittika, casual annihilation, or the naimittika means occasional annihilation. That is at the end of day of Brahma. Again, night, there is the annihilation which enters into the, that time annihilation is there. That is a naimittika, occasional, enters into abdomen of Mahavishnu. Then again, second day when day starts, again Brahmas, again all of them comes back. So this goes on, that is occasional. But the end of the day of Brahma, 100 years, his lifetime is over. That is called prakrutika annihilation. That means all the material, all this whole universe, everything gets burned down, completely winds up. Then again creation starts. That is prakritika annihilation. But the full annihilation is when the living entity transcends into spiritual. That is called full annihilation. Here the point is when the partial annihilation or the prakritika annihilation, material elements annihilation is happening. That is Brahma's lifetime is over. Universe is winding down. That time where Brahma is going, Lord Brahma is going, is the demigod. Jiva Tattva. Lord Shiva is not Jiva Tattva, but rest all Brahma, Indra, Charana, Chandra, Varuna, all of them are Jiva Tattva. So Lord Brahma is going to the spiritual world, actually. But he's coming back as per not spiritual exactly, but he's going to the Mahavishnu, Lord Narayana. So where because through Mahavishnu, Karanodaka Sai Vishnu, basically, and then again he's coming back. If most of the cases are cases when he thinks independent. When he thinks he is independent, that's when he comes back. So there, the verse is there clearly describing that. Veda Drushti Abhimanena. That is the main important line. 3 point. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 32, verse number 12 to 15. And that one line is there within those 4 verses. Veda Drushti Abhimanena. When even Lord Brahma goes to Mahavishnu, he comes back again due to the independent mentality. Because he's thinking independent of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Then automatically he comes back. That is why Ichcha and Dvesha, that is the duality. When you are thinking you are separate, you want to separately enjoy from the Lord, or you want to be envious of the Lord, or you want to be the creator enjoyer. So that is duality. That means you are not thinking you are dependent. So that's why the next biggest festival, very, very important festival, obviously Vijayadashmi is also important, but the next biggest, topmost, which is teaching, Govardhan Lila, the whole pastime is teaching very, very important instruction, how to become Sumedasa. From Alpa Meda to Sumedasa, how to come, transfer our intelligence, transfer our mind is described here. So that's why here Lord Brahma, even demigods also has to come back if they have this independent nature instead of depending on the Supreme Lord. So Govardhan Leela, what is exactly Govardhan means? Govardhan, yes, we know Govardhan place, Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, it is in Vrindavan Dham. So Lord Giriraj Govardhan also appeared from Golok Vrindavan to Bhauma Vrindavan. So along with when before Radha and Krishna came to perform their pastimes. But exactly what the transcendental meaning Acharya has explained, Govardhan. Go means cows, go means senses, and then Vardhana means increasing. So increasing, that the main point is using everything, increasing our attachment to serve. What is exactly Giriraj Govardhan is doing? Giriraj Govardhan is teaching us, he himself is engaging in the service. He is providing everything and he is getting, not only serving everybody there, who's there in Vrindavan, the cows, the cohort boys, all the living entities, and he is getting rejoice. So that's why so the love cannot be developed. Love is coming through a service. Unless we perform devotional service, where is the question of developing love? So that is the Govardhan, whole Govardhan Leela pastime is teaching, Krishna is teaching. There is no need of worshipping the demigod Indra Yajna. Rather, you have to worship the, generally we have the tendency, what wife cooks, but now we like somebody else outside cooks. Same way, those who are within the temple, our devotees who chants, who's doing Sankirtan, who's playing Mridanga, or who's giving classes, we don't like, we like to hear from rest. We like everybody else outside. We don't like who are surrounded by. We don't appreciate it. We don't have gratitude. We don't serve them properly. We don't take care of them nicely. But we have. But here, Govardhan pastime is teaching how to serve. Lord has said, not worship. Did you see Indra? You are trying to worship for many, saying that this is coming from generations, this tradition. But you didn't see Indra. So rather, who is providing all these things? Actually, it is Giriraj Govardhan is providing everything. So you rather worship him than, because he is the one who is providing. You can see him; he is reciprocating. In that way, Lord Krishna is instructing all of us. Those who are giving you all the mercy through various, whether it's kirtan or class or prasadam, all this we must appreciate. We must serve each other. We must be in their association. So we must love them, and through this, by serving the devotees, by serving here, Giriraj Govardhan is teaching that. That's why that verse we can see Srimad Radharani himself herself is talking about this, glorifying Giriraj Govardhan 10:21:18. Antayamadrira Haridasa Vartyo Yatrama Krishna Charana Sparsha Pramoda Manam Tanoti Sajo Ganayostayor Yat Paniya Suryavasa Kandara Kandamulai. So where Srimad Radharani glorifying, as per Raghunath Das Goswami is explaining how Giriraj Govardhan, so glorifying Krishna, he is serving Krishna, Haridasa Varya, and then he is rejoicing. So that's why we have to learn by serving the devotees, and we will be able to develop this love. He's teaching us, all of us. So that's why in this way, Preeti Vardhana, same concept, Preeti Vardhana, Govardhana. That means we have to increase this rasa, mellow of serving. That's why Vishwanath Chakravarti in the 8 verses we chant in the Mangalarati. Isya prasadat bhagavat prasadu, isya aprasada nagati udo. Unless we serve the pure devotee, especially the spiritual master, and then his devotees, his disciples, Sri Prabhupada has given this nice platform for us to practice this, serving each other. So that's why he's providing this. Last verse is talking about Giriraj Govardhan is providing this Paniya Suyavasa Kandara Kandamulai. He's providing the water, he's providing the caves, he's providing the grass, he's providing whatever is required. He is doing everything, whatever Krishna needs. So this is the mood of a servant. Otherwise, here, so demigods are not able to give. Actually, they are not in. Neither they can strengthen the faith who are worshipping them, neither they can give. If somebody is trying to worship instead of Lord, they are worshipping demigods, because there is one verse, everybody quote that verse, that Kesavam Pratigachati. Whatever you do through demigod, anything you worship, it will go ultimately anyway to Lord Vishnu. So it's okay. Anything you worship, it's the same result you're going to get. But we can clearly see, so that is not the case. Krishna is telling in the 9th chapter, Vidhi Purvam, that is the indirect worship. Instead of directly serving, you are indirectly doing. Instead of pouring water at the root, rather we are pouring to the leaves or branches in some other places. So that's why it is very important for us to understand. And Krishna is giving all this, especially Vedic transcendental knowledge. That's why Krishna is talking about this knowledge of the absolute, is to for us to transcend these modes, for us to come to this especially transcendental knowledge and understand. That's why in this verse example also Krishna is giving. There's a, if you want a fire, somebody who wants a fire, what they will do? They will take a wood, they will use the matchbox and light it out. Then the fire comes. But before fire comes, smoke comes. We want fire. We don't want wood. We don't want actually smoke. So that's why the fire is the supreme Lord, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. The wood and the smoke is compared to the like a demigods. So in this way, so by rather we have to take shelter. That's verse number 24 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse number 24. 23 is talking about, if you want the highest destination, eternal truth, then you must worship Lord Vishnu. You have to take the shelter of the at least mode of goodness and Visuddha Sattva, not the mode of passion or ignorance. Because Vardham Gachanti Sattvastha, if you go to higher planets, but goodness, but we have to come to the Visuddha Sattva, where we'll go to the Vaikuntha planet. So that's why it is very important. And general thing Shastra is Bhagavad Gita is teaching, men in the mode of goodness worship demigods. and passion, they worship demons. And those ignorance, ghosts and spirits. The passion, we can see Hiranyakasipu, Ravana, so much passion, unending passion. It's not just a limited passion. Nothing is enough. There is no satisfaction. So that other day we were discussing. Aneka chitta vibhranta mohajala samava. This is over anxiety and over passion. There is no end to it all. So that is that's where these demons try to worship different demigods to get some results somehow or the other. So anyway, so I will stop here, already 8 o'clock. But Govardhan pastime is teaching a lot of instructions. So we won't discuss, but maybe some other time. So any questions, comments, reflections, corrections, please share. Thank you very much for patiently listening. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktan ki jai. Hare Krishna, the devotees, anyone else, comments, reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept the humble obeisance of Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, long time. Waiting to
Happy
see
to
you
see
here.
you and hear you. Prabhuji,
Yes.
we also hear that, of course, demigods are jivas and they are specially empowered people. We also hear that they are devotees of Krishna. And at the same time, also there is the instruction that Krishna's likes it. It's more pleasing to Krishna when we please the servant of the servant of the servant. That's the process. So why is the demigod worship not recommended? Because they also are servants of Krishna.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Very good question. Yeah. So demigod worship can be done in the way that if somebody really want to attain pure devotion to Supreme Lord, then no problem. They can worship Lord Shiva, just like we see the gopis of Vrindavan and the elderly gopis are worshipping Mother Katyayani Vrata, but their goal is not to get this result or that. They want especially love for Krishna. That is the only thing they want. They are worshipping Katyayani. So, and they were able to get immediately. Next day itself, Lord Krishna has performed Vastraharan Leela. So that way we can worship. And another example also, we are trying to recollect. Prabhupada mentioning Lord Krishna is don't insult my devotees. Don't insult me, including demigods. One who is trying to, Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma or any demigods, they are actually the power of attorney. Like Lord Krishna is giving the power of attorney to him and to them to take care of many duties. So we must understand their position and worship them. So that's why Lord Shiva generally is Astos, because he understands he doesn't want to bother. People are worshipping him. I want this benefit, that benefit. Then he said, okay, take this. Then he'll be busy with his service. Go back. He doesn't want to be too much into that. So that's why he's simply very easily satisfied at the same, because he's the mode of ignorance. He's in charge. So they don't have any other shelter. So that's why they are worshipping him on the first place. But at the same time, he is completely in contemplation on the Lord Sankarshan, Lord Balaram. So that's why he wants to just give him quickly and then go back to his contemplation, remembering and thinking about the Lord, what to do. So that's why we see in everywhere, especially in Vrindavan, all the dhams, Jagannath Puri, everywhere, Lord Shiva, or also his wife Parvati or Durga or Simantini in different forms. We see at different temples, whether it's Mayapur or Vrindavan or Jagannath Puri. In other places also we see that they are protecting, they are guiding us. Without their mercy, we cannot attain. But the problem what Krishna is telling is, don't worship them for temporary results. So don't worship them for to get some benefits. In that way, Krishna is. Otherwise, they are also devotees. If you want serve them in the mood, that's why Prabhupada is mentioning, use Brahma Samhita prayers. Like you see sun god, then immediately you remember, oh, he's Surya Narayan. He's the eyes, moon, you see. Then immediately you can offer the prayer. Yachak Suresh Savita Sakala Grahanam Vajas Kumutta Shesh Desyak Naya Samprita Kala Chakra Govinda Madi Prashantam Bhajam. In that way, you offer that prayer rather than offering some other prayer which are not as prescribed by our acharyas. Use those prayers. In that way, you are thinking about Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna, that is getting the power he is giving. We offer, please accept my obeisances and please engage me in my service. Please remove my obstacles in the path of bhakti. Engage me in the service of spiritual master and supreme. In that way, we can offer prayers. No problem with that. Even to the moon god, even to Lord Shiva, or Ganesha, but we don't need to explicitly worship them per se. But if somebody wants to worship in that way, we can offer. But otherwise, then you start, or when we offer Mahaprasad to, just like in Jagannath Puri, as means I do that regularly every day. So to Lord Shiva, Mahaprasad is offered. So because he's in the pastimes, most of the pastimes he's there. He's also acted as a gopi also. So that's why and he's there in many pastimes, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. In that way, we can offer as Mahaprasad. They will be very happy. But one who is trying to make them the independent God, as independent of Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, then they will not feel good. They will not be happy with that. Even though somebody is trying to worship, but they will not be happy. So that's what we have to. Just like the Prabhupada's disciples tried to make Sri Prabhupada as God, then Prabhupada was immediately so angry and upset, immediately told them, no, you cannot be there in this moment, you have to be outside. Just to teach the lesson, he did that, and they came back allowed. They came back again after a few months or a year or so. So that's why, because a real spiritual master, a real person means, then he must divert them, he must direct them to pure devotion. So that is the best way. That is what actual real servant will direct to. So that way we have to understand. That's what Acharyas are teaching.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
All those Prabhupada.
All Krishna Prabhupada.
Any other questions, comments, reflections?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Krishnanamananda Prabhu, for a wonderful class. The devotees, anything else? Anybody has any other reflections, questions, comments, concerns? Please go ahead.
Out of curiosity, I just wanted to ask a follow-up is, what if, let's say, demigods are fearful or anxious, and they want to get something, so they also go to the Supreme Lord?
Yes, we see that. So whenever they have problem, then they are worshipping, right? Lord Brahma, especially all the demigods. Let's say we see Daksha Yajna. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam is all these examples are there. When Daksha Yajna, there was a problem. All these demigods, somehow or the other, insulted, and especially Daksha became proud. He's Prajapati, Brahma has given the higher position. Then immediately he became puffed up. He's my son-in-law. He's nothing. He's lower than me. So he should stand up when I come. Everybody stood up, but he didn't stand up. Then that became a big, so problem. He was killed. That basically his false ego had to be removed. So that's why Lord Shiva has given the punishment to him. And then all the demigods, then they came to Lord Brahma. And then along with Lord Brahma, he told, I myself cannot understand the power of Lord Shiva. What you all will understand. So none of us cannot understand the power. So let's beg and offer our obeisances and prayers. Then he will be very easily satisfied. Let's all go to Kailash. Then Lord Brahma took all of them to Lord Shiva. And then Lord Shiva finally was satisfied. But generally, whenever there is a problem, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they all go to Kshetrasagar, and then Lord Brahma prays that this problem is there. Kamsa is harassing, or Ravana is harassing, then Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna sends a message in the heart of Lord Brahma that this is how I'm going to appear, this is what you are supposed to do. So in that way, Lord Brahma transmits that message to all demigods what to do. So that's how they worship. Without approaching the Lord, they cannot get in these verses, in these 4 verses. That's what Lord is teaching us. There is one more important point also I forgot. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, not Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Dhruva Maharaj story also. No. In Krishna book, in Krishna book, I think chapter number 45, I think. Sandeepa Muni, Krishna and Balram learned all the lessons, 64 arts in 64 days, I think. And then at the end, they asked Guru Dakshina. So that time, I think Prabhupada was mentioning, that time they obviously brought the son of Sandeepa Muni, that is the Guru Dakshina. He asked them, they went, they killed the Panchajanya demon, they got the conch, went to Yama, abode of Yama, that's where his son was there, then they presented, then they brought. Then Sandeepa Muni gave a blessing to Krishna, nothing to give, because he understands that Lord Krishna and Balaram are not ordinary, they are supreme personality. That's why he asked his son back, because they only could do. Then he gave the blessing. What kind of blessing? Prabhupada explained that they gave a blessing that your teaching, your activities, especially that's why the Bhagavad Gita will be always new. It will never become old. Always new. It will give new messages. You will be always glorious. Your message, your lessons, your instructions, your pastimes. So this Prabhupada explains in this way. That's why we see, whenever, all millenniums, throughout the universes, everywhere, especially Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's pastimes are always glorious, always new meanings will be revealed. So it never become old. So that's why everybody is teaching throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. That is what has been taught. So that's what even the demigods are worshipping. But in some cases, they are teaching lesson. Lord Brahma's Brahma Mohan Lila, just it is teaching lesson. Lord Shiva, sometimes he may be running behind Mohini Murti. That is a teaching lesson. That's what Prabhupada said. They are in charge for mode of passion. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva is in charge for mode of passion. That doesn't mean that they are under that mode. They are just in charge, controller of that mode. But 99%, there are few cases they are just teaching us a lesson that even in that position, if you are not careful enough, then you can be succumbed to these 3 modes. You yourself will fall down into this material whirlpool. So that's why we have to be very careful, following under the footsteps of this previous acharyas and serving. So is that clear, Mataji?
Yes. Thank you, Guru. Thank you so much.
Thank you all, Prabhupada.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. The devotees, and a humble request. We are having a book distribution on Papayani Park on this Saturday, starting at 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a good opportunity for all of us, and it's very important that we give this transcendental knowledge to others. So please join as much as you can, at least some 2 hours is a slot. So please join afternoon Saturday, and prasadam will be served, and devotees can nicely engage in the devotion. This is our service, the pure service that we all have to take, and this is the most that pleases Srila Prabhupada. Take out the Sankirtan, give out the books. It's most important because of we are all trying to serve, or giving us the opportunity. The Krishna is giving us the opportunity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us the opportunity to serve. So please join on this Saturday. Pretty much every week we have. So please try one or another. If you can't join this week, join next week. But try sometimes. So this gives lots of purification, and this is for our benefit. So thank you so much. Anything else? Yeah, first of all, also today is the first day of Navaratri. Wish you all a happy Navaratri. And next 10 days is devotees, they see in a different perspective. They serve they respect, not serve, they respect the Devi, the Shakti, as a devotee of the Lord, that Lord appointed this the Devi Shaktis to kill various demons in this world, so that gives the relief for the people in the world. So they're also taking care of leading the service to the Supreme. So there are many situations out there. They are all Vaishnavas, especially. They are also part of. It also says that the sister and the potency and extended the potency of the Lord. Uh, the Yoga Maya is there, the Maha Maya is there. So when it comes to the Maha Maya, that's Lord's potency also. So Maha Maya, Durga. Durga has various other forms. There is Savitri, Saraswati, and likes that. So we don't disrespect. We always, respect the position of each great personalities. They are all one way or other serving the Lord. But the main thing is actually we are not exclusively, because of Krishna is there. Krishna is giving us this knowledge. So we should not exclusively go and worship. There is no need of those who are worshipping the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is giving that knowledge so that on these days, as a devotee, we can chant more, engage in the devotional service, and some take fast, and in the name of course, the name of the Lord, Supreme Lord, and they can purify themselves, engaging in loving devotional services, and so many ways. So it is important that we don't disrespect, but respect all the facts that whatever has happened. That's very important lessons for all of us. Respect all the the Krishna's arrangement. It's all Krishna's arrangement. So thank you so much. It's very nice. Thank you, Krishnanamananda Prabhu, for a wonderful class. So please join devotees every day. And this is a wonderful section that we are so far mid of the 7th chapter. There is a section is Bhakti Yoga. This Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate of all. Yes, there are so many other ways that one goes through this path. But everybody, this Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate, and everybody is doing that to come to this stage. So we are also fortunate that with the mercy of the Supreme Lord and Srila Prabhupada, we came up to this point of understanding what is Bhakti Yoga. So in order to understand what is the topmost devotion or Bhakti Yoga, is Krishna is revealing all these various aspects of the devotions, right? Various aspects of realizing the Supreme. So it's very wonderful that revealing this transcendental knowledge to us. So please join every day so that we can continue and learn and listen from the Supreme. What is the ultimate? What is needed? What is required? What is the ultimate of all these processes? So that is Bhakti Yoga. So it's very important that we learn, we study. Of course, we study and realize, understand, and apply in our life, so that we can attain the perfection or janma sabhalya, or attain the perfection of this existence of this human life or human form. Otherwise, as it's mentioned, that it's a like a human in a blacksmith workshop. There is a bellow, like always. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if we don't have the devotion, the pure devotion to the Supreme, then the humans are like a bellows into the blacksmith workshop. That is just inhaling the air, exhaling the air, but that's it. So it's very important that we utilize this opportunity as a human, as well as all this Krishna's arrangement, so that Krishna will take note of that our enthusiasm, our devotion. Thank you so much. let's conclude today's session. Vancha kalpatarupasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo
Paritanam Pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Dhanraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
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 Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Gaudi Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari.
Hari Hari
Hari
Hari.
Bol.
Very good.
Thank you, Krishnanamananda. Hare
Thanks,
Krishna.
Krishnanamananda Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.